Hey, so hello. Thank you so much for agreeing to speak with me today. So, we're talking really about international schools or international environments and 21st century skills. Um, First of all, what is your name and your teaching experience?
So my name is Sandra Schultz, Sandy Schultz, and my teaching experience is primarily at the college level. I've taught social marketing and leadership at Tufts, at Harvard Kennedy School, at the University of Wyoming, and at Central Wyoming College, because I currently reside in Jackson, Wyoming. I've also done a lot of workshops that include high schoolers, but I haven't taught a full classroom in high school.
So, would you consider any of those environments that you just mentioned international environments, and how so?
Absolutely. Well, the Kennedy School has our classes include different nationalities. So we were 50-50 US and people from other countries. Even here in Jackson, a third of our population in high school and in many of the students that I've taught at UW and at CWC are Latino. And, first generation Latino, or the children of immigrants, first generation. So, I think that is part of international. It's a global world.
Hmm.
And they, so, so that's my,
Wonderful.
that's my perspective. And
So,
same it.
based on your experience, how would you define 21st century skills?
And I ran career services and all the field experiences and internships as assistant dean at the Kennedy School. So I definitely have perspective on, getting ready for the working world and careers. I think they fall into two buckets. I think there's the kind of content bucket, and then there's the organizational technology bucket.
Hmm.
And so first, in the content, what I have kind of developed my career about, and really feel a sense of urgency that we need to build it more into the curriculums. First is teaching people how to listen to each other. That when you bring in people from different cultures, different demographics, just just people in general, especially with the distractions of technology and iPhones these days, people don't know how to listen. We Zoom, we barely look at each other. And that has lots of repercussions in how to connect as teams in the working world, how to problem solve through issues, how to deal with conflict. So beginning from the youngest ages of helping people to learn to create a place and space of the quiet and develop the skills of active listening, of really being present, of really, seeing the other person, of learning to paraphrase and restate and confirm for clarity before jumping into what we're going to say. And, it's an issue for me as much as anyone, but I think that's a big content area, no matter what curriculum you're teaching. I think another huge area for the 21st century is really personal leadership, personal responsibility, helping people think, who are you? What are the skills that you have, and how can they translate into what you want to do? I thank you for this conversation, because I think about it a lot in all of my work, that we run so fast and we have so many external success metrics. Did you get into the AP class? Did you get into the right college? Did you get into the right job? It's very linear, and there's a lot of people that fall out that, don't necessarily fit into that path. And the ones who do fit into that path don't often even want to be on the path, but there's so much competitive pressure to be there from lots of places in society, including families. But then everyone else, it's so dualistic. It's like you're either a winner or a loser? And how do we in curriculum expand out, because we need so many jobs in so many different areas that all pay living wages, develop self-worth and responsibility. So, from the content area, really listening, really doing the self-reflection work on developing personal leadership, working through conflict in team development and team projects. I think the life skills are so needed and so lacking in any kind of our consistent curriculum that I've seen at the high school or college level. And then, go ahead.
I was just going to think, moving on a little bit from like the actual, those skills of leadership and critical thinking and communication and collaboration and working with others, to also this other side of like technological literacy. Right. And working just with computers, being able to understand data in so many different ways and being able to convey that to other people. I guess the question is, do you think that is being done in your experience, and in what ways? And how could, like in the middle school, for example, every student has an iPad, which I think is great, which, in some ways can get them working in digital environments. But at the same time, there's not a very strong procedure from the administration saying this is exactly how they should be used and this is what shouldn't be used. And there's not that much data as to, do students having their faces in front of screens all the time, is that necessarily good at the end of 10 years of schooling? So what do you, yeah.
A lot of data coming out that's saying it's not healthy. It's not great for your eyes. It's not great for team collaboration. It's not great for bringing in all of your senses to your intellect, to develop intuition, to develop a deeper knowing, to, again, going back to teamwork and leadership. And the critical thinking isn't just of your mind, it's of your senses. How does it feel? Like really using all of our sense organs to help us in development of projects. So I think to really learn, where can technology help enhance problem solving and skill development, counterbalanced with how do we also teach people to see each other, to listen, to communicate, again, whether it's in Spanish or in history or in English, that we just don't want automatons, to me, against a computer. We have huge issues in the world right now. Like, look at all the socio-political things that are happening right now. If we have people that don't even know how to interact, how are we supposed to figure out how to solve Israel and Palestine, how to solve the rise of autocrats, how to come together to really work on the big issues that are economic, political, environmental. So that balance. And I think the big thing in technology that I see is it is a great tool, but what are the organizational skills to help people even understand using iPads or computers? How do you organize all the data? How do you think through from the big conclusions to the smaller information, so that you don't just have a lot of stuff that you throw at it because you know how to do cool beeps and bops with PowerPoint, but that we're going back to the basics of how do you communicate? How do you publicly speak? How do you organize all the information in a way that's persuasive, or in a way that's compelling, or in a way that really helps other people see where you're going easily? And I think using organizational tools with technology would be helpful. And kids are so adept, decades before I ever was. So if we teach them PowerPoint, let's also teach them the roadmaps of organization as well.
So one big thing is that a lot of these schools are focused on their assessment data in the end, and that's kind of, and so a lot of these standardized testings is really what's being focused on in the curriculum and doing well on those standardized tests. So based on this conversation, do you have any thoughts on how 21st century skills, the skills that we've been discussing, can be assessed in kind of formal ways that then can be looked at and potentially implemented in other places based on data? Because those things are kind of hard to measure, is a leadership ability and things like that compared to facts.
I'm sure through AI, you could develop software that assessed team dynamics if you were in a history class or a political science class or even a math class, and you gave them an issue they had to work through together. I think, I'm sure, and again, I'm a fuddy-duddy, and I think technology has a place. I don't think technology should be the only thing. And I think standardized assessments, again, go back to all they test are one track of intellectual learning. And we need a lot of other skills in the world right now. So can we use AI to have people even publicly speak into a computer and assess based on metrics on, how they're doing, how they organize their data, how they, went from conclusions to supporting evidence. I know there's some writing on some parts of it, but there's not that much writing. Again, I think with AI, we can bring in more writing to assess that ability to, in a compelling way, elucidate and enliven an idea. I think the standardized tests are one set of benchmarks, and I think we need to, as we go forward, remember the human element in all of those benchmarks. Remember critical thinking, as well as, there's a lot, but we still need people to have basic knowledge of things. Like, what are all the capitals? Where is Europe? Is it in the Pacific or the Atlantic? The data that's coming out is pretty heartbreaking at how ignorant a lot of high schoolers are, college students are. So it is that balance between all of the soft skills and the critical thinking skills and just basic knowledge, so we're not so beholden to know everything in our iPhone. We've outsourced memory to the iPhone, which is great to be able to have everything at the snap of your fingers. But to ask an 18-year-old, where the Pacific Ocean is, and they don't know, I don't think is good for human development.
Well, thank you so much for your time today.
All right, so here's my reflection of an interview with a school leader. In this case, it's a former leader at the Harvard Kennedy School. And really, her perception of 21st century skills touched a lot on the soft skills that we read about in this week's literature, especially discussing leadership and collaboration and communication, and the ability to communicate with others. And this is really what she focused on for the majority of the interview, just kind of the inability that a lot of us have, and a lot of students have, from grade school through college, to really successfully communicate. And she kind of attributed that a little bit to the rise of technology and the role that technology now plays in our life. So we discussed a little bit about where I teach the fact that every student has an iPad, and though that's a very positive thing in some ways, in other ways she discussed how that can be fairly detrimental, just due to the fact of staring at a screen for so many hours every day all throughout your schooling, and just from the fact that it kind of takes you away from your classmates, takes your vision away from them, and always makes the focus point your piece of technology as opposed to the other humans in the class. we talked a little bit about the difficulty of assessing these soft skills essentially. But she also was felt very strongly about continuing to teach the core principles of learning these core classes of history, language, arts, science, math, foreign language, things like that, just to give students a true understanding of geography as well of who we are and why we are here. But she talked a little bit about the fear that it creates, having a lot of ignorance in this world and having a lot of young students who really don't know much about the practical world itself due to many reasons. So for her, she talked a little bit about how she is definitely a little bit still in the old school teaching method of really teaching through human beings. And that's kind of something that I agree with, but definitely a difference that I see in my day-to-day teaching environment when we are so incentivized to use technology, to use the iPads that every student has, and to use the TVs in the classroom, and to use PowerPoint and really focus on those things, and even use different online learning modules as opposed to lecture and things like that. So that was a big difference. In terms of professional development, I think, based on what she focused on, that's really where I would like to proceed in my professional development in terms of leadership, in terms of communication, especially with diverse populations. I remember in college some professional development that I did for a job that I had was just really working on cultural diversity and collaborating with people from different places in the world with different ideas, with different religions, and it was really impactful, and I took a lot of really positive learning away from that. So I'd like to continue to pursue that. I think that what I would really focus on pursuing is really those soft skills, because I think, and especially in the career that I've chosen, yes, there are a lot of technological environments that we have to adapt to and we have to learn to use in an efficient way. But really the most important thing is how you can deal with your emotions in the classroom, how you can deal with your one-on-one relationships with students, how you can deal with students when they, when they treat you with disrespect and things like that. And also dealing with with other teachers, with your peers, and finding ways that you can collaborate to make the student life better within your school. I think every teacher should focus on that and should try to improve that if possible. So I think one thing that I would like to improve at is teaching ESL students. That's something that there's a lot of in Jackson. I haven't had any where I teach, and I haven't had any formal experience learning how to deal with these students, though I've had a lot of practical experience. But I think having some objective techniques and things like that would be really helpful in my day-to-day teaching.